So if you're enjoying that game, you can find it on our YouTube archive of our previous events. But we're back now for round 4 of Standard today, and I'm joined for the first time by Beky Bell. Beky, we finally got you in here after a false start earlier. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm really happy to be here.
Oh yeah, no, we're happy to have you too. So you've done, for people that don't know you, you've done some broadcasting for the VML, which Caroline was also a part of. She talked about last week. How was that experience for you, like getting into doing commentary as opposed to just having been a player before that?
So I've previously done commentary for other games, notably for League of Legends and Teamfight Tactics a little bit.
Okay.
So I have some experience casting for other games, and I hadn't ever really thought about doing casting for Magic. It's something that I've always admired watching people do, obviously going to a lot of GPs and watching Pro Tours. But it kind of just fell into my lap doing VML. A few people, Caroline in particular, and some other people I know who were a part of the VML were like, hey, are you looking for possibly joining us for this opportunity of this thing that we're trying to start and make big? We're having trouble getting people who are able to consistently be a part of doing our weekly streams, either because of work and, normal stuff that people run into, having trouble, making scheduled events. So it kind of just fell into my lap, and this was before COVID, and then COVID happened and everyone had free time, and I was lucky. I was like, oh, well, I got into this when other people had a bunch of things to do and I had nothing to do. And it's been a really great experience, not only being a part of the female Magic community and really bolstering them up, but also just being surrounded by a bunch of great people who are really passionate about the game and being able to share my love for that through casting.
Yeah, that's cool. And it worked out well for us because I watched some of that and was like, hey, we're going to give this girl a shot. And here you are. Now, you're primarily a player, though. So let's go ahead, as we do generally with our guests. Let's take a look at the deck that you would have registered if you were instead of casting it.
This was so at the end of the day, if you ask me what kind of deck I'm going to want to play, Ramp is one of my favorite archetypes. It pretty much has been since the start of the game. When I first started playing, obviously, aggro's a kind of really easy introduction to the game. But then as I grew as a player and started playing more and more, Ramp became my favorite archetype to play pretty much all over the place. So that's why I'm a Tron player in Modern. And that's why if you give me a card like Cultivate in Standard, I'm like, that's it. That's what I want. So if I was going to play, it would probably be Temur Ramp. I have played a lot of the mono green food lists as well, and I have played a lot of the Dimir Rogues, and I think that both of those decks are really fun. But at the end of the day, if it came down to it, this would probably be my sweet spot and where I would like to be.
Yeah, sure. Ugin in all formats, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so we have our pairing for round 4, so let's go ahead and take a look at our deck list and see who we're going to be watching this round. We have Jarman names, who we've seen on this show before playing mono green food. And we see, interestingly, just a brief comment here, in the mana base, we looked earlier at Caroline's food deck, which had Crawling Barrens, and we looked at another food deck that had castles, and here we have both of them.
Yeah, I was actually in the chat when we were talking about Caroline's deck list, and she was talking about her Crawling Barrens, and I think that Crawling Barrens is such a cool card that I was in chat and I was like, oh yes, Crawling Barrens. So I think that card is a super sweet addition. I love being able to kind of play with the monocolored mana bases a little bit more and be a little more versatile. And I like that we're adding things like that in the Bonders Enclave to just kind of help us close out games through things like board wipes and just get a little bit of card advantage off of these big creatures that we're just trying to play.
Right, and so let's go ahead and look at Jarman's opponent, Oscar Garcia, playing Temur Ramp. Okay, well, you are probably going to have some insights as this game gets developed in.
Obviously happy to see this. This is a little bit different than a version that I would have played. Obviously, the version I would have submitted would have had Ugins in it. And but that's just because I love Ugin. So if I have a chance to play Ugin and throw it into a ramp deck, that's what I'm going to play. But this one is a little more centered around Terror of the Peaks, which I do think is kind of a very cool deck. I believe we are playing Obosh as our companion with this deck, I believe. If I have the correct one pulled up on my other screen that has the sideboard. And I think that when I first saw the like interaction of Obosh and Terror of the Peaks and Genesis Ultimatum, I was like, that's like kind of cute, but does it ever actually happen? And then I gave it a shot and did it like 2 times in a row. And I was like, oh, well, maybe this is kind of nuts. Maybe I was just lucky. But at the same time, like going from, oh, this is cute, like maybe it works, to immediately doing it 2 times in a row, I was like, oh, maybe this is kind of nuts. And obviously it's going pretty well for Oscar here. So maybe he's also kind of lucky with this deck.
Yeah, we'll see how it works out. We had a Terror of the Peaks deck already on camera, and we never saw a Terror of the Peaks actually make it into play. So maybe we can do a little bit better this time, or at least Oscar can do better than our other Temur ramp player.
That's really what it comes down to sometimes. It's just like who has the better luck, who gets to see the marquee cards, and Terror of the Peaks certainly really helps you close out games with this deck.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's get things rolling here with round 4 of our standard event today. We're going to be watching from Oscar Garcia's perspective. Both players are 3-0. And let's see. Beky, you're here now. What do you think about this opening hand?
It's fine. I guess if you're looking at it, you know that the mono green deck isn't going to be usually threatening your life total very hard immediately. So keeping the soonest turn 3 play in Beanstalk Giant, probably fine. However, we luckily draw this Lovestruck Beast and get to Heart's Desire on our second turn, which it's fine. We're going to just play at a similar pace to Jaffer on mono green food and start some ramp on this turn.
Yeah, this looks like a start that I like. And Lovestruck Beast, which can help out Great Henge, and we might run. We have a choice, I guess, for the next turn whether we want to play that land as a red or a green.
It seems that we've made this decision assuming that we want to play it for a green and cast this Great Henge on this turn, or we'll just draw. Okay, we're just drawing all the perfect things that we could possibly need to stray from our initial game plan. That was the reason that we kept the hand. But sometimes you got to play to what you're given and not what you keep.
Yeah, so this works out great. Now this Terror of the Peaks is delayed somewhat, but with Beanstalk Giants ready to roll, that's going to not be too hard to enable. All right, attack in, block is made, so the once the Great Henge comes down, we don't need our 5/5 anymore, so we can just throw it away and trade. That looks good. And, you know, we don't know what's in Jarman's hand, and neither does Oscar, but Oscar's probably pretty happy with things.
Yeah, I think that in the Temur ramp deck, you're happy the longer the game goes. So you're kind of going to just aggressively trade now that this Great Henge is on the field. And I don't believe that there is a main deck answer to this Great Henge in the mono green food list. So it's kind of here to stay, and it's going to just help us get a lot of card advantage and just make all of our stuff even bigger so that we can profitably block as well.
Mm-hmm. All right, so this is going to
probably be a Terror.
Yeah, so this is going to be a Terror. The choice there was Terror or Vivian. And the Terror comes down, gets a counter, draws an Edgewalling Keeper, and Oscar Garcia is rolling.
Mm-hmm. I think that playing the Terror this turn is pretty smart. Now we have the Beanstalk Giant in the wings, in the adventure zone. If it comes down, we are able to shoot a big thing that Jaffer could possibly play. So I think that starting off with the Terror of the Peaks in play, also as an attacker in the air, sooner rather than later is definitely a smart play.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of getting out of hand fast. Like Kezan New Mammoth, I don't know what that's even going to do. I think you could make an argument that the food should have just been eaten with the Trailer Chromes to try and find something better, because I mean, this is
that's perhaps what we're planning to do on our end step. Probably just trying to play the Mammoth, and then we'll eat the food on Oscar's end step just to get a little bit of card advantage. But if that was our play for turn, it certainly makes me not scared of anything that could possibly be in Jaffer's hand.
Yeah, I mean, Jarman passed the turn with 4 creatures, and he may untap without a board. This is rough.
Yeah, that's certainly the scary part of Terror of the Peaks and something like the Great Henge in play. You just you have this big thing that's going to say, let me zap all your creatures, and also, I'm going to gain some life at the same time, and I have a ton of mana, and all my stuff's just going to be bigger.
Yeah, good luck. Jarman Names can go ahead and probably plan out his sideboarding right now. As
I know, I was just, I was literally moving to my other monitor to look at the mono green food sideboard. I was like, this might just be it.
Yeah, and this turn is just going to be a nice casual small attack for 6 in the air.
But we're only going to 17, so we're not hurting as bad as we could be.
Right. Yeah, there's There's burn spell. There's 9 damage burn spells rolled up in hand that also casually create. Oh, I'm sorry, it does 10.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh, and now we've got this Brazen Borrower as well. We can just like clear the board up and also just like not only attack for damage, but also just shoot face for some damage. So I think that if Oscar wanted to this turn, I believe we can just go ahead and end. Oh, we've got a little bit of an error. Oh no!
Don't actually concede the game. You
Arena,
got a
please.
1.
Yeah, not like this.
All right, so this is going to come in
Yep.
for 9, and I believe that's the end of this game. I guess
Even if
Jarman
you
can
want to block the 6/6, we're still taking 10.
sack of food.
Ooh, we can't sack a food and we go to 11. Oh, we can live at 1. Okay.
All right. Is there an Ugin in the green deck? I think there is not, but that would, well, I mean.
Oh, I didn't realize that we hadn't made a land drop this turn, and we drew a Bone Crusher Giant off of playing this Beanstalk Giant. So let's just say Oscar definitely has the luck involved in the Temur deck that's going to go nuts, go crazy.
What luck? That was like a well-crafted, perfectly executed game plan.
Of course. I mean, the phrase is never didn't have it, and obviously that's exactly what Oscar just did. Oscar never didn't have it.
Okay, so notable here as the Obosh is disabled as the companion in order to bring in the Ugin.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I think Ugin's worth it.
Yeah, it makes sense. What's interesting to me is that not that it happened, but that we're willing to disable our companion for just a single copy of Ugin.
That is interesting, though. I suppose the mono green food list does have a slight possibility, especially on the play, of having a very fast start. Mm-hmm. And I suppose if you're worried about a fast start coming out of the mono green food list, you're not really prioritizing getting Obosh from your adventure zone to your hand to play.
Right.
That's just like not really going to happen. You're going to either be focusing on spending your mana to answer those creatures and then go from there.
All right, let's go ahead and look at Jarman's sideboard before we get game 2 rolling. Can we find some help here? We kind of got overwhelmed in game 1.
We're definitely, I think, bringing in these ram throughs. Does the Garuk have a fight ability? The Garuk I don't think could possibly be an answer. And you're probably wanting the Brontodons as a way to get rid of that Great Henge if we're able to slam it on turn 4 again. That just was a little overwhelming. So I imagine that the Brontodons and the ram throughs are important in this matchup.
Yeah, Kogla maybe also come in because in addition to picking off, it's basically a combination of those 2 cards. It can do the ram through part and then it can attack and do the Brontodon part.
Yeah.
So wouldn't surprise me to see that either.
Yeah, kind of a shame that we only have 1 copy of it.
Yeah, Garrick is. I don't know. I haven't been super impressed with Garrick. I feel like for the most part, it's being used to push damage, and I don't know that. I mean, I guess that's important here because we have to be the aggro player because the other player, their deck just goes bigger than ours, so we can't be the control player even if we want to.
That's true, but I don't know if it's even the control card that we want. I think that we maybe would just want more Vivians anyway.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say, but I think that Garuk's just like a little too clunky for being an aggro answer. We might have brought in the Questing Beasts actually. This hand is a little spooky to keep unless we're really sure that we're going to draw land. So I guess Oscar's hoping to draw land to play this Beanstalk Giant and not thinking about it much more. Cultivate, not quite it.
Yeah, well, you're right. It's a redundant, and we've got a ways to go to get to Ultimatum. This hand can do it if everything works out. It'll be tough to beat, but if everything doesn't work out, then it's going to just die.
It's okay because like last game, everything's going to work out. Not like our opening hand was scary last game, but this game was a little sketchy, but Oscar's definitely got some draws on his side.
Mm-hmm. So the Kazanadu Mammoth comes out on turn 2, swinging for 5 on turn 3. That's a pretty good start, especially if there's a follow-up of any kind. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Not really the aggressive follow-up that we wanted, but it's a follow-up.
Something. But yeah, this is... Sorry, go ahead.
The Kazandu Mammoth definitely is like the more aggressive start that we want from this mono green deck. We were talking about wanting to be the aggressor on the side of mono green because we don't want to play a long game. And so I think that the Kazandu Mammoth on turn 2 into attacking for 5 is kind of exactly what we wanted. The Trail of Crumbs, not such a great follow-up, but also not the worst. It's a way for us to get card advantage and hopefully keep up the pressure.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned though in that the Trail of Crumbs is kind of a, it's a grindier, longer game card, and I don't know that we are in any game where Trail of Crumbs actually makes a difference. I feel like we're going to get overpowered anyway.
That's fair.
I feel like it's a card that, I'm not intimately familiar with the construction of the deck, although I did play it about a month ago. But I feel like the Trail's a card that you could maybe trim some copies of here as Great Henge comes down, and okay, I mean, we hit for 5 more. Great Henge is in play. We saw it do a ton of work last game on the other side.
It's an interesting card to play. Definitely kind of a similar thing to Trail of Crumbs, where it's not an aggressive card that we maybe would have liked, but it's certainly a card and a way for us to get card advantage to hopefully, again, keep up pressure. It's going to boost up all of the creatures that we play from this point on. It could possibly get messed with a little bit by this Brazen Borrower on our upkeep, which is a little bit of a concern of mine. So
there's really the question right here I have to cut you off. The real question is, do you bounce the Mammoth as attacks, or do you bounce the Great Henge before it gets to the opponent's turn? We see the choice that was made, but there definitely is.
Okay, well, that's not when we went to first main phase. I thought that the choice was going to be the Kazandu Mammoth, as you were just saying, but then we decide to bounce the Great Henge after it's been used. Maybe we just missed putting a stop in the upkeep to do that. A little bit of a bummer, but getting to see this really big attack for 9 this turn.
Yeah, Primal Might for 1 would finish it off. A fetch land also would have finished it, and there is the Primal Might.
Primal Might for 2 because we've got this Gilded Goose.
Even better. So Jarman takes that game down. I think Oscar was expecting to survive that turn and then ultimatum when he untapped, and he didn't get that far.
Yeah, that a little bit of a punt. If we had been able to put that stop in upkeep and remove that Great Henge from play, we would have been a little safer from the Exaxes from Questing Beast plus Primal Might. So, a little bit unfortunate there.
Two ways that could have gone differently. So, yeah, you're right. By shorting the 2 mana, by bouncing the Great Henge, that would have allowed Oscar to survive. Or if the Mammoth had been bounced, also Oscar would have survived. Unfortunately, the way things work out, Oscar goes down in a heap, and good for us. We go to game 3, not so good for Oscar.
Yeah, these games are going like pretty quickly considering that they're a bit bigger of decks. You certainly look at the creatures that are in both of these 75s, and you would think that these games might go a little bit longer, but we're really just zooming. We're going through it.
Yeah, and I mean, you're right. These things are progressing fast because once they get rolling, they're hitting hard.
Oh, yeah.
Also, on Arena, the games just develop faster than they do on Magic Online. We do a lot of our Nerd Rage events on Magic Online, and the pacing is different.
Yeah, we briefly talked about that before even coming on the show. We talked about how the difference of having the rope versus the chess clock on Magic Online makes for a huge difference in pace of play.
Wow. So we have here turn 2. Oscar holds up Petty Theft instead of putting down the Lovestruck Beast token.
And we're quite rewarded for it, if I do say so myself. I think that the ability to take away the ramp and then be more ahead than we previously were.
Yeah, so really, Oscar gave up 1 damage in order to pursue that line, and that's not a big sacrifice in the games, especially in a deck where you're not often winning by 1 damage, you're winning by 20.
Exactly. Like we said, when these decks go big, they're going really big and they're hitting really hard.
Now, Oscar does not have land number 5, much less land number 6 and 7 rolled up. So his hand is a little anemic right now if land number 5 doesn't come off the top. And really, if it's on I was if it's on a mountain, but Elder Gargaroth is probably pretty good.
Yeah, I think we're okay with seeing any land to play this Gargaroth. So yeah, we'll take this forest. It's not the most ideal, especially because it also takes us a little bit away from playing this Genesis Ultimatum on the exact turn that we maybe would have liked, but we're going to take what we can get when we're a little stumped for lands.
Yeah, Elder Gargaroth is a house.
Also has the ability to draw some cards and maybe find us some lands.
Ooh, okay, both players powering up this game. There is a Bronzodon in Oscar's hand and no immediate creature off Great Henge, so that's going to work out just fine. And Gargaroth, does Gargaroth attack in and offer the trade?
Looks like it. And we're throwing in Lovestruck Beast as well, so having the additional pressure of Lovestruck Beast means you're either taking some amount of damage from Elder Gargaroth and its trample, or taking 5 and losing both your creatures. Also, this block makes me a little dubious of what is in Jaffer's hand. Obviously, like, they don't have a 3-mana creature, or they would have, or something below it, or they would have played it off of the Great Henge. They could have a ram through, and this could be like a little bit of a blowout, doing a ram through with the Lovestruck Beast. Yeah, all right.
We're right about that one. Now, something that I think is interesting about Oscar's previous turn is knowing that the Elder Gargaroth was in hand and that there was a 1/1 and 5/5 on Jarman's board. I felt like the Lovestruck Beast could have swung in because there's a decent chance that it trades off, in which case the Gargaroth is free and clear. And that didn't happen. We do still have plenty of stuff going on, and Crawling Barrens to eat up some of the available mana. Ooh, all kinds of stuff going on here.
Wicked Wolf, not the worst thing. It's going to stop some of this pressure from the questing beast coming in. If you are Jaffer, though, I am a little concerned of the mana situation that is happening on my opponent's side and what that's going to mean for how some of these attacks or the spells that are in their hand are.
Okay, now we're rounding into, we're just a blue short of the ultimatum with that Fury played down there, but well,
these ram throughs definitely came in.
yeah, and they definitely impacted the game.
All right, well, we're presenting
all right, Becky, take over. I'm going to sneeze.
Okay. Oh, well, we drew an island, so we're going to have this Genesis Ultimatum to play. So that probably was the best case scenario. We kind of just like have to play this Ultimatum. We got to play this island first, though, my guy. Okay, there we go. All right, play this island, play this Genesis Ultimatum, hope to hit some big things to block 2 creatures, because the Crawling Barrens means that even if we are able to block 1 creature, we still have to be able to block 2 so that we don't take lethal damage.
All right, I'm back in it.
Wonderful. We didn't see... We would have liked to have seen Ugin. However, the Lovestruck Beast and the Threshing Bronzodon, not the worst thing to have seen off of this Genesis Ultimatum. And we did find another Genesis Ultimatum should we live through this turn.
Yeah, that's the thing, is the ultimatums that find other ultimatums just get so hard to come back. And with Trailer Crumbs activating here, I mean, this is going to feel good for Oscar because it's, not something that's immediately blowing him up, and Gilded Goose isn't going to change anything, really. I guess it makes Wicked Wolf a much better attacker, though.
This is true. And it's got to make you feel a little bit better when your opponent taps the Crawling Barrens and is no longer thinking about attacking you with multiple things and worrying about how you have to block, and what if they also have another ram through. They gave quite a bit of information away to make us not have to worry about so many things, but we do also see the Threshing Bronzodon throwing a block in front of the Wicked Wolf, preserving ourselves some damage and destroying this Trail of Crumbs.
Yeah, so I mean, 21-6 life total advantage for Jarman Names. He has more stuff on the board, and boy, would I rather be in Oscar's seat with this ultimatum.
Oh,
let's see, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 mana, I believe. So
we don't quite have enough to play Terror of the Peaks and Genesis Ultimatum, unless we were to draw the other mountain, or we're going to find an island. Okay, we're going to take the possibility away.
We could go land. If we draw land, we can go Terror of the Peaks, both Brazen Borrowers.
That's true.
And kill the wolf, but...
Brazen Borrower can't block ground creatures.
Right.
I believe it only blocks creatures with flying.
Right, but if we
with the Terror of the Peaks activity. You're correct. Yeah.
Well, we did not draw the. Oh, we did draw the line, so that option exists. So there's the guarantee where you can do that and kill the Wicked Wolf, and then have Terror of the Peaks as the only blocker, and probably survive, or we can go for the ultimatum and see what happens.
It looks like we are going for the safer option, which makes me a little sad. However, I understand. Sometimes it's a little scary to go for the gamble, but the possibility of finding something off of Genesis Ultimatum that just allows you to have such a terrorizing turn seems very appealing to me, but I will respect the safe play that Oscar's making.
Oh. Do we? Oh yeah, there's the other land. Okay. One thing though is if a land comes off the top, then the Terror of the Peaks actually does have to die here.
Yeah.
Maybe not have to, but okay. The Kazan Mammoth was killed, not the Wicked Wolf. And the other one, the creature. Yeah. Okay, so Crawling Barrens times 2.
Times 2, but one of them had to tap. Okay.
Yeah, so that's.
We appreciate it anyway. This is. I guess all of the chips are on the table, so you aren't super scared to block with the Terror of the Peaks on the Crawling Barrens and go to 1.
Right. Yeah, I think you just win now, because I think Hardcast Beanstalk is going to end it.
Oh yeah. Do believe so. That'll be. Yep. You've got 11 damage in the air as well as 12 here.
Yeah. So Jarman, a little bit of a misstep there, not realizing it looked like that his Crawling Barrens was going to have to activate the other one. Hard to say that really cost him the match, but it didn't help.
Yeah, I mean, if you weren't going to be able to attack with both of them anyway, and even if you did attack with if you did attack with both of them, it would only be 4 damage coming in anyway. He would still live at 2. So it doesn't really matter, even if you had been able to attack with 2 and the Wicked Wolf did have to be blocked by the Terror of the Peaks, you still would have been in a fine position on Oscar's side. So
yeah, because double activating on the one that did attack. So then the Terror would have died regardless, and Oscar goes down to probably 1 or 2, and then. Well, Jarman will certainly live another turn, unless the ultimatum killed him with another Terror of the Peaks. But yeah, certainly not ideal the way that ended up. But again, it was getting away from when your opponent has resolved an ultimatum. It sucks. It's even if you're not already for sure dead, it's tough going.
Yeah, and knowing that there's another, you don't know, but the other ultimatum in the hand also was just like a little too scary. And you are playing for Terror of the Peaks. The chances that you find another one when there's 3 still left in your deck, not the worst. Finding an Ugin would just be bad, like for Jaffer, no matter what. So it was looking a little rough, but we also assumed that was going to be a rough matchup for the mono green food deck anyway. On face value, it does look like that would be a difficult thing for them to beat, especially when you're not playing things like things that kill flyers super efficiently, other than like your ram throughs. And that's also relying on the fact that your things don't die to said Terror of the Peaks before you're able to cast the ram throughs. So it was a rough matchup for the mono green food, and we saw Temur Ramp take it down.
Yeah. So it looks like there's just one match still playing, so we're not going to have a backup ready to go for you guys this round. So we're going to step away for a moment. We're going to come back with round 5, and we're going to come back and talk to Beky about how it's obvious to us that 17 land is the correct number in Tron, but no one else seems to know. So stick around for that conversation.